of all our people know. And in this moment, I could represent the Chinatown people to thank the police people. They do the good work. And all of the government people, they also concerned about it. That's why today we have the federal and also the municipal and also the Toronto City people. They're here to strong their voice that Toronto is a safety city. Today's day, we most concerned is how to improve our safety. We will be one of the topic about the camera system because it seems we are very successful in our camera system. We will try to increase more of the camera to our Chinatown and let all the people feel comfortable and feel happy. Of course, when they eating very happy, we will feel we are in the paradise of the North America. And thank you for all the people coming. Once again, we thank you for the police, their work too. Thank you.
Thank you, Walker. And I'd also like to take a moment to thank the other CBIA directors who come out today, including Jason Yang. Thank you very much for your support of this event. And now I'd like to turn it over to Mr. John Puto, Executive Director of the TABIA.
Thank you, and first and foremost, greetings from Toronto's 85 BIAs. There are 85 communities similar to Chinatown across the city of Toronto, whether it's Bloor West Village, Chinatown here, Beaches, Greektown, all those communities make up from 85 BIAs to 90,000 businesses. The reality is that Chinatown, in all honesty, is no different than many of those other neighborhoods. We're having challenges across the city. All those neighbors are out there. But the stats that I've seen is that crime is actually down. It's the type of crime that's happening out there. Small businesses are challenged with digital crime and other initiatives that are impacting their businesses. So when we start talking about crime statistics, we really need to start looking at the type of crime that's out there and how do we mitigate that. Bottom line is, and I'll say it now and I'm sure I'll say it later, Toronto Police Service does a great job out there. I had the pleasure of actually spending some time with them in their cars a couple of weeks ago, and I got to see the shenanigans and the stuff going on out there. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to the will at the political level. I'm not blaming anybody here, but it's the will at the political level, because we can no longer continue to do the same thing over and over and expect different results. The reality is we've got to stop the catch and release that's circling around us. The police do their jobs, we catch the bad folks, we get guns off the streets, and yet those same people are back on the streets within days, if not hours. So the catch and release is probably one of the biggest issues that I have learned about over the time, and obviously the social issues that are impacting all of us, not only in Toronto, but across the country. So without any further ado, I'm going to let the program continue, but I call it the catch and release. We need that judiciary to really step up and make sure that they not only protect the small businesses, but our clients, those customers that go into those small businesses.
My name is Shelley, and I'm here on behalf of your federal member of parliament, Christy Freeland. And we want to start by saying how deeply she values the spirit and strength of the Chinatown community, and extends her apologies for not being able to make it today. So, as John was talking about, we're here to talk about public safety, and it's something that everyone cares about and is affected by, whether you're a parent or a student or a local business owner. And we all deserve the right to feel safe where we live, work, rent, and play. And Chinatown is an important neighborhood to Toronto. It's a cultural heart of our downtown city, and it's full of history, tradition, and hardworking businesses, hardworking families that have shaped the fabric of our multicultural city. We are in a very diverse area of the city. 17.5% are Chinese Canadians, and we have been hearing, and Mr. Freeland, the federal government has been hearing from the Chinese Canadian community and from the Chinatown BIA about some of the concerns and challenges that we face. I want to thank the Chinatown BIA for the support that it provides the community. And as you heard from John, the statistics around crime are down, but sometimes the perception of safety is not always there. So events like this are really important to building connection and building safety and building that responsibility for each other. So I want to thank Chinatown BIA and John for bringing us together for this. But like John also said, the challenges are not unique to this area. It's across the board. It's actually not even just a Canadian urban issue. It's actually global. And there are many factors that feed into what we're feeling and seeing today. But I can talk to the part that the Canadian government can play in this, because there are some things that we are doing and taking action on that I think are important. We're taking action to increase policing powers and also justice reform, bail reform. Those are important initiatives. There are programs to prevent racism and hate, to address homelessness, mental health and addiction. These are some of the issues that are at least contributing to some challenges in the city. And along with that, we're working to ensure a strong economy, because these are the drivers that create well-being and prevent crime as well. The very first act of government that the Prime Minister introduced was the Strong Borders Act. Now, this is actually really important and it's faced some criticism, but at its heart, it's about stopping fentanyl, which is a really big problem in our communities. And it is about stopping illegal guns coming into this country at its source. So that means increasing the police officers at the border officers by 1,000 personnel, and RCMP personnel. So that's a really important initiative. And the goal is simple, to sort of stop that crime before it happens. We've also heard that we need more legislation around bail reform. So in the fall, new legislation will include tighter bail conditions, strengthening sentencing for repeat violent offenders in crimes like home evasion, car theft, and human trafficking. It's really important that this legislation and bail reform is focused on serious offenders and not tying up our justice system with minor offenses or things that could be prevented through community engagement, youth engagement, and other initiatives. This is really addressing the more serious crimes that are occurring in our country. Last week, the Canadian government also announced a call for proposal to fund more projects under the Multiculturalism and Anti-Racism Program to build connection, build security and safety for our communities, and build that sense of belonging. We know that that is an issue for many communities, including the Chinese Canadian community. So those are the things that we are focused on and that we are doing right now. And these these initiatives are done in partnership and in response to municipal government, to our partners in policing, to all our downtown BIAs who have been raising these issues with us. So we do need that partnership to improve the vibrancy, the livability of our downtown neighborhoods. And we also need to work collaboratively and in a preventive focus. We have heard from downtown BIAs that are standing up with the support of local business community, public nurses and police going out together to connect with people who are experiencing homelessness and to make sure that they are getting the services and the support they need. And that has to be a big part of this picture. And the other thing I would just say that in terms of some of the issues around housing, that there's an investment in more housing that can solve some of the issues, some of the crises that we are seeing in our streets and in our communities that are affecting that well-being. So as I say, it's a shared responsibility. I've just outlined some of the things that we are focused on in the Canadian government, and it takes all of us together, working together to do this. You guys know the community better than all of us, so some of the solutions lie with you. And we are really keen and interested to hear about the issues and some of the ideas that you might have today. So thank you very much for having us here. I'll just hand it over to my colleague Victoria to translate some of that for you. Thank you.
大家下午好，感谢各位的到来。我们今天呢，代表国会议员方慧兰出席本次活动。首先呢，她非常高度的认可这个社区所展现的凝聚力和精神力量。今天呢，我们将共同探讨这个公共安全议题。这个对我们每个人都非常重要，无论您是小型的企业主、家长或者学生呢，或者是长期的这个居民，我们都希望在生活、工作和活动的空间中获得安全感。唐人街不仅是一个社区，更是这个城市文化的心脏。这里承载着历史与传统，勤劳的家庭和小型企业共同编织了多伦多的城市肌理。那么我们是加拿大最多元的选区之一，而多样性呢，正是我们力量之源。华人社区呢，占大学玫瑰谷选区人口的17.5%。多伦多唐人街商业促进会 BIA 呢，正是通过各种文化活动、节日的庆典以及商业支持的全方位来推动服务社区。今天呢，我相信我们这个论坛呢，再次彰显了 Chinatown BIA 在推动社区与政府协同解决问题方面的一个领导力。华裔加拿大人呢，直接向我们反映了影响城市安全感的现实挑战。我们期待今天呢，聆听大家各位更多宝贵的意见。与全国许多城市一样呢，我们目前就是面临着日益增长的一个安全隐患。方慧兰女士呢，与我们政府非常理解这些担忧，并正在采取实际的一个行动。比如说，我们通过扩大警力的权限与保释制度改革预防犯罪，通过打击种族主义与仇恨行为，解决无家可归的问题，心理健康的支持与成瘾的干预，以及对所有加拿大人建设的强劲的经济。而且另外，卡尼总理政府推出的首部法案加强边境安全法案已经正式实施，通过拦截非法枪支，强力应对有组织的犯罪来降低犯罪率。所以大家的目标非常明确，就是从源头消除犯罪与威胁。我们聆听了来自全国各地以及本地居民的一个呼声，我们需要更严格的保释制度以及对严重犯罪的实质惩处。因此，今年秋季的新立法将包括对犯罪以及入室盗窃、汽车盗窃和人口贩卖等犯罪实施更严格的保释条件与量刑标准。上周呢，政府也启动了多元文化主义与反种族主义的计划，这一轮新的提案的征集，目的就是在资助预防仇恨犯罪、促进社会安全以及构建归属感的项目。综上所述呢，以上是加拿大政府正在推进的重要工作。需要强调的是，这些方案呢与各省政府、警方以及法律专家合作制定，他们回应了加拿大人民，包括所有市中心商业感的共同诉求。一个有效运作的司法体系，能预防犯罪并提升安全性的项目，以及保护和增强市中心社区活动，使多伦多成为一个宜居地。所以我这里再总结一下呢，就是公共安全不仅是政府的责任，更是整个社区的共同事业，需要我们每个人的共同努力。在此呢，我们再次感谢 Chinatown BIA 的领导团队，特别感谢 Tony Louis 以及董事会，将我们凝聚在一起，开启这场重要的对话。因为你们比任何人都了解我们这个社区。方慧兰呢，与联邦政府共同致力于为这一事业的合作伙伴，不仅仅是提供资金或政策，更加通过聆听与回应来实现这一承诺。再次感谢你们付出的时间、对社区的关怀，以及成为解决方案这一部分的意愿。让我们共同携手努力，共同建造一个更加安全、更加紧密的唐人街与大学玫瑰谷社区。为了现在，也为了未来。谢谢大家。
hear some words from Andrew Green, representing Councillor Diane Sachs.
Good afternoon, everybody. So I'm Andrew Green, the Chief of Staff to Councillor Diane Sachs. Councillor Sachs, of course, represents the area of Chinatown, which falls north of Dundas. We're proud to represent north of Chinatown, as well as Canterbury Market, the Huron-Baldwin community, and the neighborhoods along the north of Dundas. It's very special to us. Councillor Sachs would be here herself today, except she's present sitting in Community Council, TEYCC, which she cannot get out of. But I'm very happy to be here in this place. My personal connection to the neighborhood is when I was a student at UNT, I lived over on Huron Street towards the north end of college for 7 years. So I feel a little bit of an intimate connection with the neighborhood, having spent such a long time. It's always nice to be there. And of course, I want to thank DIA, Tony, John Kieran, everybody for first inviting us and putting this together. Thank you very much. It's super important. And just generally, we wanted to talk about our support for the neighborhood and the key issue of health and safety going forward in the community. Now, of course, we strive as City Council to work in partnership with the BIA, the local residents association, the land trust, and our police officers in ensuring that there's a balanced and harmonious, successful dynamic taking place here in Chinatown so that it can flourish. Because we understand just how important this neighborhood is. Chinatown isn't just an economic draw, it's a tourist draw, it's a pillar of University Rosedale, and it deserves our attention. Generally, I wanted to talk a little bit about the work that Councillor Sachs has done. We understand from some conversations that we've had in the community that there is an increased sense of uncertainty about the level of crime, level of safety, some of the problems that are escalating in the neighborhood. And generally, what we're doing at City Hall is to work, again, in concert with the BIA and the police to try to address it when we can. So I'm here to listen to that. I believe Walter talked about cameras and services that can be used to increase security in the neighborhood. That's something that on city property, Councillor Sachs will have a conversation about. We're also, keenly aware of the fact that proper safety extends to every member of the community, from businesses to the residents, to those who are experiencing homelessness or, are having problems with finding shelter. To that effect, Councillor Sachs continues to work hard to try to work with the city and with the mayor to unlock housing and housing opportunities. An example of something that we've done recently in the neighborhood is the donation of the redirection of $2.1 million to the new affordable housing project at 35 Bellevue. That's going to provide additional 78 affordable units to residents in the community so that they can have shelter, make sure that we're providing a roof over people's head, and generally working towards having a safer, healthier community. Generally, Councillor Sachs' position when it comes to the ward is that shelters and affordable housing services, but shelters specifically, when well run and well funded, can provide people opportunities to, improve their situations. Anyways, so we're pleased to be here. We're very happy to be a part of this discussion on what we can do. I'm here to listen. And, thank you for having us.
Thank you to Andrew. Now we're going to hear a few words from Member of Provincial Parliament for Stanford York, Chris Glover.
Great, thank you so much. 大家好，我是本来的副主上议员 Chris Glover. 谢谢高女士。I'm joined here by my colleague Jessica Bell, who's the other MPP. She serves the area on the north side of Dundas Street, and I serve the area on the south side of Dundas Street. So we both are working here and serving you in Chinatown. thank you to the BIA for organizing this meeting. It's a really important meeting. Chinatown does well and thrives because of the incredible work Tony, Walter, and Jason, and all the members of the BIA. And we want to make sure, so people come here, as somebody was mentioning, it's a big tourist draw. We just had the summer festival that was very successful. Thousands of people came to Chinatown for that day. Thousands come here to celebrate the Lunar New Year each year. And we want to make sure that people, when they come, they feel safe. We want to make sure the residents feel safe in their homes, the businesses feel safe when they're operating. And there's things that we in the government need to do. John here was mentioning pension reliefs. One of the problems that businesses face, or police face, is that it takes a lot of work to arrest someone. It takes a lot of investigation, you build a case, and more than half of the criminal cases in Ontario are now dismissed before they go to trial. So all that police work doesn't end up with somebody going to be tried on the charges that they're made against them. And that's because of a lack of staffing in our courts. So one of the things that Jessica and I are pushing for is greater staffing in our court system so that when the police arrest somebody who has allegedly committed a crime, it will go to trial, there will be a determination whether they have committed a crime, and if they have, then there will be a suitable sentence. But we need to fix the court system in order to make that system work, in order to make our community safe. And that's one of the things that we need to do. And the other thing, this is a meeting about health and safety. I'm going to pass over to my colleague, Jessica Bell, because she's been taking the lead. I've been helping. We are doing what we can to try to find Chinese-speaking doctors for our community. So I'm going to pass it over to Jessica Bell and let her speak about that. But first, I'm going to allow Shu to translate some of what I just said.
大家好，我會有一幫高麗思源去翻譯翻佢啱啱講過嘅啦。佢好多謝中華華埠區嗰度為一直以嚟為呢個社區貢獻啦。好高興可以代表住喺 Chinatown 嘅居民，亦都好高興見到農曆新年活動同埋啱啱 Chinatown Festival 嘅成功。佢話佢同埋貝斯亞議員一直都去推動緊嘅就係喺個司法系統上面嘅更多資源，因為啱啱都講過啦，其實好多嘅罪案其實警察係有去拉人啊，但其實喺安省入邊咧好多嘅罪案咧喺去到法庭之前咧已經因為唔同原因咧就係被取消咗，就係因為而家我哋嘅司法系統，我哋嘅法庭其實係即係好多嚴重人手嘅短缺，咁所以佢哋一直都推動緊更多資源喺呢一個省入面嘅司法系統入面。另外，啲貝斯亞議員都會分享一啲關於健康嘅部分啦，因為呢個係一個關於社區安全同埋健康嘅一個活動。咁佢會分享翻我哋喺為唐人街增加更多醫生嘅努力。
Thank you， 謝謝大家。
Parliament for University Rosedale, Jessica.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here. I'm Jessica Bell, the MPP for University Rosedale. Because my speech is going to be translated, I'm going to read from my notes so that the translation is accurate. I think I'm really looking forward to the Q&A because then we can hear from you about some of the concerns and questions you have about living in this neighbourhood, and I'm looking forward to that. What I do know is that Chinatown is a welcoming home for Chinese Canadians. It's a national tourist destination and a thriving hub for small businesses, and we need to keep it that way. It's reasonable to say that everyone who lives and works in Chinatown should feel welcome and safe walking down the street, visiting the community centre, running errands, or enjoying our local parks. It's also fair to say that everyone who works in Chinatown or runs a business in Chinatown or shops at a business in Chinatown should be able to go about their business in peace. We are seeing issues of vandalism, harassment, theft, graffiti, rising hate crimes, disorderly behaviour, homelessness, and a rising the need for some businesses to pay for personal security. This is not what we want Chinatown to be. I think that is reasonable to say. I will be taking careful notes when we go into the Q&A session. to hear about some of your concerns, and my goal is to think of short-term and long-term solutions to some of these challenges. As a provincial MPP, we spend a lot of time on the root cause, long-term issues that are causing some of the problems that we're seeing in Chinatown today. What I have noticed is this. Making our neighbourhoods safe means having an accountable and responsible team of people, from social workers to outreach workers to police, who know the community well and who can respond to issues when they arise. Sometimes 911 doesn't have enough resources to respond to calls in a timely manner. We were just at a meeting the other day where we heard from a local daycare who had some security issues, and they had to wait for 14 minutes for 911 to answer their call. This is not a criticism of 911. 911 is essential, but we all know it needs to be there for us when we need it. We also know that making our neighbourhood safe means making sure that our frontline workers can refer people to the right services, be it an emergency room, a meal program, to community housing, or to the criminal justice system. And they need to know that those services are there so that we don't keep having the same problems come back again and again and again. And what we're seeing on a provincial level is that some of these services are not being operated appropriately, and they're not being funded appropriately. As MP Glover.
Thank you for your time for coming today, and thank you for including the Toronto Police.
Thank you very much, Constable Bobbis. We'll now turn it to Constable Quentin Malfair from 14th Division.
Hello everybody, my name is Quentin Malfair. I'm one of your 4 neighborhood officers for Chinatown. This is also my partner Alfred. I'm absolutely honored to serve this community. We serve Chinatown, Alexandra Park, and Kensington Market. We're involved deeply with the community. We know many of the business owners and many of the problems that are going on in the neighborhood. If you take anything from this information session today, come by and see me after we're all done speaking. Take one of my business cards. My work number's on the back, my email's on the back. I will respond. In cases that are not an emergency where you need to call 911, I'd love for you to reach out to me. The best thing about the neighborhood program is we're highly accessible. We're here for you. We want to hear about what you're going through on a day-to-day basis and collaborate with you on the best approach to solve your issues. So that's pretty much it for me.
Hi everyone, and I just touched on Quentin's explanation of what the neighborhood officer program is. The main objective of the neighborhood officer program is to create that relationship and build that trust with the members of the community. That can be anybody from regular citizens to business owners to shelters and any other stakeholders in the community. Like Quentin explained, we're very accessible. I always tell people if it's an emergency, call 911. If it's something ongoing, then you can reach out to us and we can help you assist in solving whatever issues or concerns that you may have. One example is Hong Kong Island Dim Sum. We know Simon very well. He has a lot of issues with thefts. So we work with him in identifying those perpetrators, and in cases where they need to be arrested and charged, we do so. In cases where we need to, as per his wishes, caution them and ensure that they don't return. We also do that as well. So looking forward to the Q&A as well, and seeing how we can be of service to you guys. So I also brought a lot of information and pamphlets on the table, so please take one or a few. It covers a lot of many topics that you may have as well.
Thank you very much. And now we will be turning to the next portion of the program, which is the open forum Q&A. And so in this portion, we'll just ask that if you have a question, just raise your hand up. Somebody will bring a mic to you. And if you have a question directed at a certain person, we will pass them the mic. So with that being said, I will turn it over to anybody who'd like to ask a question or make a statement on any topic.
I live in, I'm not a business owner. I live in the Chinatown center here. I've lived here for 10 years. Anyways, my question is probably to the police. Alexander Park, the last couple of weeks, I'll be a specific example here. Someone is screaming political references, profanity, after midnight, top of his voice, throughout the day as well. I'm surprised someone else hasn't taken some action. I'm surprised it hasn't led to violence. My question is, what should I do if there's anything to do?
In this specific circumstance, is this person threatening to assault anybody? Are they violent, or are they just...
I haven't seen the person. He's got an amazing voice that carries, I don't know where in Alexander Park it's coming from, but it's just screaming at the top of his lungs. Some of it doesn't make sense, some of it is political, some of it is profane, and some of it's after midnight. I would imagine in our building above here, there's a lot of children. I would imagine they're scared by this. I would imagine children in Alexander Park are terrified by this person. I haven't seen him. I thought about going to get a photograph or a video of it to just present to the police, but...
So in circumstances like this, where there's not an imminent threat to the public or yourself, I would call non-emergency, but there's also the issue with non-emergency is sometimes you're on a very long call, so that would definitely warrant, if you can't get through to non-emergency, send me an email with the exact location in the park. Taking a picture of somebody is always a risk. As a member of the public, somebody steals something or someone's being a nuisance, you have to keep in mind that if you take a picture of this person, you may be putting yourself at risk. That's a decision you're going to have to make. You don't want to be seen, holding your phone out, taking a picture of somebody blatantly, because that could put you in danger. But if there's a way to safely take one, that obviously helps us identify people, or just like we've mentioned, the importance of video surveillance for businesses. If you have a common problem at a business or in a park, describe the individual, the time it happens, and we'll try to at least have a conversation with this individual and figure out whether this is more of a mental health approach we should be taking, or a different approach that would warrant enforcement. No problem.
Just a quick addition is after police officers arrive, also determine if it's a mental health issue, and if it is, we'll assess the person and see if it is a mental health issue, they're in crisis, and if they're dangerous to themselves or others, then we have that authority to actually take them to the hospital to have an assessment done. So that's generally how we do it.
Thank you very much, and I think we have another question here.
I'm Chris McLean, and I'm the condo president for the condo next to Garden City Mall. It's not really a question, I guess it's just from my perspective for our residents. The biggest thing is a lot of homeless, mental health issues, breaking into the condo. They're not violent, at least. And there seems to be a mental health issue, but it's hard to argue when the guy says he lives in your 4th floor stairwell and he's there every night. And then also they tend to, I think, more riskier homeless sort of hang out in the parking lot under Dragon City Mall. So they're living in the stairwells or behind the cars. We do have security that goes through there, but can't be there all the time. And then what seems to be an emerging issue with some friends who come into the neighborhood is actually pickpockets. We're not looking for solutions today, but we're saying pickpockets.
Thank you. With respect to the last comment, sorry about that. We do have officers that are especially trained in something called CEPTED. That's crime prevention through environmental design. Please reach out to either officers from 14 and 52 Division. They'll go by your condo and they'll give an analysis of whether or not the environmental design some way leads to the criminality. Whether or not you need better lights, whether or not the bushes and the shrubs need to be trimmed down, whether or not the locks need to be improved on the doors and the windows to the stairwells. So that sounds like we can solve that problem, or at least work towards the solution of your problem through SEPTEC. So again, reach out to one of the officers, and we'll send an officer over to do an evaluation. Okay, with respect to the encampments, please again reach out to 14 Division of 52. We have officers that are working very closely with the City of Toronto Encampment Resource Team. Now that team is headed up by an individual called Nathan Love, and what they do is they'll go in there with various resources to offer them better accommodations. So this is where the police community cooperation is vital. I know the parkette, I know it's a very small one. We don't have a lot of complaints from that parkette, so start generating the complaints. That way the police officers will focus on that area. Working with our City of Toronto partners, we'll try to find accommodations for that individual. We also have City of Toronto workers that will revitalize that open space, clean up the mess, make sure there's no needles, and make sure that once we remove the encampments, like we did down in Clarence Square Park. I don't know if you've been around Clarence Square, that's east of Spadina, near Wellington. We had about 30 tents there this time last year, now there's 0 tents. So as soon as these encampments pop up, it's imperative that the community advise the police. We will then work with our City of Toronto partners to remove that particular encampment. Now, encampments can be as large as 30 to 40 tents or as small as what you're describing. But unless we know about it, we're unable to action it. But, and again, circling back to what I said, 14 Division has neighborhood officers for the west side of Chinatown. 52 Division is trying to get specific officers for the east side of Chinatown, where you live. And once we get those additional officers, we're going to go along with your combat and criminality in your neighborhoods.
Just a few words from Andrew.
Hi there. I just wanted to comment or to continue to address the question that you had about the Glasgow Lane, the parkette. Our office is aware of it. That's just, Well, for anybody else in the neighborhood, our office is aware of it. I've even taken a tour of the laneway myself with Tony 2 weeks ago. I have someone, like Christian, in my office working with Shelter Services, Streets to Homes, and the resource team to try to address the problem. We have received complaints about it. We are working, through the city to address the problem. Ideally, we reach out. We try to offer shelter, to individuals who are residing in parks. They don't have to take it, but we continue to reach out. And as the officer said, if we do find, if the city does find that the encampment is empty, then it will move it up. There are, if the problem is continuing in the long term, there are other options that the council's office could consider, but of course our primary focus is to help people seek housing and shelter. But I just want to let anyone know who's in that neighborhood adjacent to it, we're aware of it, we're actively working on it, and we will continue to work and reach out until we have a resolution. A positive one for everyone.
Hello, hi. My name is Hanya. I'm a member of Friends of Chinatown. I'm also with the Toronto Chinatown Land Trust. I'm also a business owner within this mall, coming on 7 years now. So I've really seen the transition of the hotel into Homes First. I'm very proud of the city for buying the hotel and turning it into affordable housing, deeply affordable housing, but there have been some issues. For example, the mall and Homes First took away the garbage can in front of the mall. And so I am picking up all the trash on a daily basis that they throw into the garden. So there also used to be a bench there too for people to sit. And so I've noticed that the mall has been quite hostile towards Homes First residents. I have witnessed the security of the mall kick out Homes First residents as soon as they step out of their front door. I've seen them kick out their residents for smoking cigarettes. And I don't think it's the mall's fault to be put in this position. They're not really properly resourced or trained in de-escalation and harm reduction. But I also think Homes First is also lacking in resources and capacity as well. My unit, specifically in the mall, has flooded multiple times because of the resident upstairs. There's also a sign right there. That is someone's apartment that says, "Please help, someone's been killed, please all." That's really, really intense. I stare at it every time I go up the elevator. So Homes First is not doing their job. The mall, no one's been equipped to do their job. And so what I'm asking of the city, the politicians of this table, is to seriously convene some type of roundtable with the mall, with Homes First, with the city. I know it's not in Diane's ward, it's more Osma's thing, but you guys all work in the same place together. So this is a really serious problem. It does impact the businesses, but it also impacts the wellness of the Homes First residents. And I'm friends on a talking basis with a lot of them, and there's a lot of discrimination from across the board, and it's not okay. So I think every party, every stakeholder needs to step up, and we really need to work together to create a safe environment, because that's what Chinatown is really about. Chinatown is a place where you can live, work, and play.
Please go ahead.
Hi, my name is Karen Chan. So
sorry to interrupt you. We'll just have a quick word on that previous question. Apologies.
Are you talking about the same issue?
Carrie's a resident of Homes First. Homes First?
Oh, okay. Why don't you speak and then I'll speak?
So hi, my name is Karen Chan. I'm president of Homes First, and I used to be a former registered nurse, district nurse. And I never thought in my life that I would find myself homeless, but I lived next door, and through having accessing housing, which is not a shelter, it's supportive housing, I've been able to realize that in this mall that there are so many services that, from the pet store, from the friendly convenience store guy, all treating me with respect, and meeting some of my friends here, that I've developed a community and a sense of belonging. There are many people that live upstairs that upstanding citizens and people that do use drugs that are receiving supports. So through access to housing, I've received access to a doctor, like access to friends in a sense of the community, and like if the neighbor police officers and city councilors find a way to improve relationships between the residents and here, I think like having a friendly, warm, smiling face welcome you to shop at their store, okay, this is important, is I think will make it less likely for us to commit crimes or like to feel a sense of belonging. I've seen the like big bakery store like give people buns for free. I've seen the guy give someone free soda when they're short on food. That's using empathy to, build belonging. So my question to the city councilors and the police and everyone else is, what have you done to improve relations, and why is Homes First not here? They're a big stakeholder in this conversation. Why were they not invited?
So, this is the area that I serve as the member of provincial parliament. Many of the issues that you're talking about are our city, but I want to thank Tanya and...
Not my name.
Sorry. I want to thank both of you for coming and speaking today. It's what you said is really important. I had never noticed that window up there and the message that's in it, but I'll reach out to Oslos, to Deputy Mayor Malik's office, and let her know about it. And I think what you're talking about, building stronger relationships, supportive housing is an essential solution to the problems that many of us are facing in our communities. And we need more supportive housing. And Homes First is doing a good job, and you're talking about how do they improve the work that they're doing by building a stronger relationship here. Certainly my office and Deputy Mayor Malik's office will work towards that, because that is part of the solution. There was a supportive housing building right across the street from where I live, over by Wellington and Strong, and it was a very supportive, the community was very supportive of it. And unfortunately, it's closed down right now. They're going to tear it down and build a bigger one. But we need supportive housing. Right now, a lot of the issues that people are talking about is because people are desperate and they're homeless. And when people are desperate, then all kinds of things happen. So providing housing, supportive housing in particular for those that need it, that's a big part of the solution. And that will relieve a lot of the pressure that's on our police forces right now. So thank you both for coming and speaking today.
Hi, I'm Jake Williams. I just moved into the store right there. So I am new to the mall, but I have been working in this neighborhood for like 7 years, and seeing how it's developed and how it's changed has been very interesting. I do want to kind of pinpoint something here, because we had a push for the TPS services to be increased in the neighborhood, and I genuinely don't have faith in that. I do believe that when we talked about doing the same old thing and we talked about doing something new, one of our most funded resources in the city is the Toronto Police Services. This year we did see defunding in safe injection sites, and we saw defunding in shelters. I have been working on the street for a very long time, and I can tell you that we are seeing the repercussions of those actions. We are seeing the repercussions of not taking care of our community and actually cutting things off, not treating symptoms, but we need to treat the disease itself, and the disease is not taking care of our community. I think that I'm going to turn it out this way, us working together is a very important thing. Seeing each other, supporting each other, if you are in need, just ask me. I am hoping to build a relationship with everybody here, everybody in Chinatown. We can support each other as much as the government and the TPS can support us. But I do want to call towards our politicians to rectify this defunding of very important resources. And instead of throwing more funding at something that is just going to be the catch and release that we referred to earlier, I would love to see taking care of everything.
Hello, thanks for your comments. Just to touch on the fact, when we talk about police, especially the neighborhood program, I don't want you to think of your typical enforcement. We're not this one-track-minded police service anymore where we see something illegal and it's automatically, enforce it, ticket the person, arrest the person. The great thing about the neighborhood unit is we sit at tables with every single resource that can help people. We sit at focus tables and we deal with some of the most vulnerable people in society. When we deal with somebody that might be a problem to your business, our first solution isn't to ticket them, trespass them, or arrest them. If none of those, if it's something that's not an immediate threat, if it's something where we can help somebody, we do. We put in what's called the focus referral, where they meet at a table, 8 different organizations brainstorm how to help this individual, and we help bridge the gap between some of these organizations and the people who are most at need. And just to share just a very brief personal note, like I've had somebody in my own family who's 20 years old overdose and pass away from fentanyl. So don't think that just because we're police officers, we're not affected by the things that happen in your community either. We are people. We're not just, robots in
But do you need a gun?
So,
Do you need a gun to do that?
again, work with us, grab my card. If you need help, if you're seeing something in your community, be in touch with us because we do want to help and in a collaborative way, not just a one-track way. We can help, so that's just a message I want to drive home. Thank you.
Don't need a gun to do it. No.
Go ahead.
And my name is David. So my family and I, my family first had a business back in old Chinatown, back in the 40s. So I was born and grew up here in Chinatown. So I've seen how Chinatown has grown, shrunk, and changed. So my issue now is we want Chinatown to be a welcome, welcoming, booming, tourist attraction. Why is Chinatown being, I wouldn't say targeted, but why are these shelters being put in Chinatown? That's not what we want. Like, we're open, we're an open community. We welcome everyone. So, I can't say for a fact these shelters are positive problems, but in the last 10 years, I've noticed a lot of homeless people stealing mail, stealing things, drug use in main ways, defecating and urinating in the streets. I mean, this was never here before. Why is it here now? And it's not the Chinese community. So that's for a fact. I don't want to sound, racist, but it's not the Chinese community. So why are these shelters being put in Chinatown when they want it to be a world-class tourist destination? So this means the politicians, community housing is not an issue. I've grown up here, I've lived with community housing. I've never had an issue with community housing. Alexander Park, I was here before they built it. I'm here now, I'm tearing it down. I've never had a problem with that. So community housing is not the issue. Affordable housing, that could be an issue, but one of the problems with you say affordable housing, to me, affordable housing does not exist when you have market value. So what is affordable housing? Affordable housing is a percentage of your wages? I don't know. So when you say you're going to build affordable housing in Bellevue, is that an answer? Is it truly affordable housing? Right? Also, with this Homes Plus, I think originally it was supposed to be families only, not individual people. So that was another issue. All of a sudden, this was, I don't know if there was a lot of community involvement in that decision to put Homes First here. So I don't know whether the mall had anything to do with it or whether it was, the revenue from that space, because the business that was there before was working, I think, I don't know for a fact. So that's what I have to say to the politicians.
Hi. So thank you very much for the question on two issues, the shelter and the affordable housing. And in my capacity as Chief to Councillor Sachs, I can speak to what's happening north of Douglas. So to your question on Bellevue, 35 Bellevue, the formula for that is RGI 30%. So 30% of an individual's income, no more, for those 78 spaces, is going to be given towards, it's going to be rent for those spaces. So that's what we're doing there. And again, on Bellevue Street, it's at the northwest end of Kensington Market. So it's more of a Kensington Market, affordable housing project than it is a Chinatown one. But that's how it works. To the shelters. Again, I can only speak north of Dundas, but I appreciate the concern that many in the community believe that there is too much past in Chinatown. I can tell you that what the city does is we delegate responsibility for choosing shelters to staff so that it doesn't become a political decision, so that you don't have a politician dumping something someplace or also trying to stop someplace from having a shelter. Staff identify spaces where there is an opportunity, where there's a great need, and they try to balance it out. There is a shelter coming into University Road in the future. It is not going into Chinatown, nor is it going anywhere near Chinatown. So we're not dumping shelters or putting shelters into Chinatown.
Thank you very much. And please, the next question.
I think a lot of things are like, it would be nice if this, it would be nice if that. So I want to ask a kind of more realistic question in terms of the economy. So will there be ongoing monitoring of economic impact on businesses in 2025?
Good. Could you repeat the question, sir?
Yeah, so will there be ongoing monitoring of economic impact on businesses? So that's kind of more like a tangible thing that I want to ask. Or just in general, if anyone can give me an answer. I get it, it's a difficult question. Okay, well, the economic impact of having these shelters like in this area, will there be, there is going to be an economic impact, right? So is there any monitoring of that? Because as we know, the economy is not very good, so I'm just wondering if that is being taken into account or if there's anything being monitored there.
Homes First isn't a shelter.
Okay, fair. But there is an economic impact, right? And I'm wondering if that's being monitored, because that's pretty important, is it not?
You can ask your question, I just clarify.
Yeah, no, but that's my question. And if it's a hard question to answer, it's fine.
As you know that when we look at impacts of anything, we have to look at the overall factors that contribute to the end result. And that end result is a combination of a lot of things. For example, cleanliness, the optics in Chinatown, the optics from visitors coming to Chinatown. All of these things has to be taken into account. Transportation, parking facilities, everything adds up to the end result that you mentioned, the economic impact. So we cannot look at one factor or another. It's part and parcel of the whole thing.
I was just going to say, to add to that, of course, it's very hard to measure those sorts of things, but as we've heard from the young woman over there, China? Sorry, who was saying, what a difference it has made, or another person was talking about what difference it made for their life. So I think like how you measure the benefits to providing that type of service and that type of housing to someone who can then be employed and can be, you know, contributing in a way or working in a way. So I think it is, and there is a need to look at both sides of that equation, because what is the alternative if you don't have that type of support and that supportive housing for people who might need it? So would it be more of a cost to the community? So I think that is hard to measure, and I think that, you know, it's quite complex, but we have to look at what we should do as a government to invest in people so that they can be well, so they can be employed, so they can, you know, be part of the community. I think, I guess that's all I would say to that, is that, you know, from a government perspective, it's about designing the policies that are going to make a difference and make not only an economic impact in terms of, you know, that for each individual.
One moment, one more.
I wanted to take another moment. Like, I hear what you're saying. You're absolutely right. The reason that we have homelessness is a failure of government policies. We have not been building affordable housing or supportive housing in Ontario since 1995. You know, so it's been 30 years since we actually built the kind of housing that we need. We now have a mental health crisis, we've got an opioid epidemic, and we've got a homelessness crisis. And it's concentrated here in Chinatown, but it is in every community that I visit across this province. There are 80,000 people who are homeless in Ontario. There are 1,400 encampments. I go and visit my family in Oshawa. I ride my bike from the GO station. I pass 2 encampments on the way there. In London, Ontario, I was there last summer. There was an outdoor food event where 1,000 people lined up for the food. We need to change government policies. We need to build affordable housing. We need to build supportive housing. You know, shelters are supposed to be temporary, and they should only be temporary. You should only be building shelters. People should use their housing, should go into a shelter 6 weeks, 2 months, maybe 3 months, and then they're on to housing. But because there isn't enough housing being built, there's no pathway. So that's what we are pushing for. That's what Jessica Bell used to be the housing critic for the NDP. That's what we've been pushing for. We know how to solve this crisis. We need to get the political momentum to actually build the housing so that we don't have to talk about, you know, where we're going to put shelters, because we're not going to put in shelters. We're going to be building supportive housing and affordable housing, and everybody will be have a home that is appropriate.
Can I ask the city of Toronto to find one more side outside the ground floor? Because one time in the night time, I saw a guy playing a golf ball shooting to the other side of the building. It is so scary. And I have to run away. And also sometimes I work late, I have a neighbor who is a girl. She told me she was very scared about the outside of the house. And she asked me to accompany her to go to a safe place and let her go home. This is a big issue. Ladies are scared. Men also scared. I don't know why they are ready to walk outside the building, shooting to other buildings. It's just like a bullet. This is a safety concern. I do think the city of Toronto needs to have a big concern in there. I don't want anything to happen. And sometimes some people are buried there. I don't know whether they will do some sexual harassment to the ladies. Who can guarantee it? Everybody have the safety issue. Not only men, not only ladies, not only girls. We are not trying to push away the poor people from here. But the point is, you have to let these people live together with us. I don't mind. But you have to know the safety. Have you do the safety concern a lot? Have you do safety protection to us? Yes, I know. I can call the police. I can call 40 division. I can call the 52 division. When they come, already happened. Would you please, City of Toronto, hire more security guards outside the building, taking care outside of the road? Don't let these crazy people shooting everybody. Playing the golf should go to the golf field, not in the front of our mall. Please, I'm tired of it.
Put the mic in where it's set right there, please, for the future. Maybe it was a question about hiring more security personnel, or just a statement.
What's the city going to do about this? That's the
So, to start, we come here and we listen and we have conversations with the community. And again, that's why I was so thankful that we were invited by the meeting to be here. And we have meetings. I've had meetings with the BIA to talk about health, safety. I've had meetings with the community where some of this stuff has come up. As I mentioned, I personally used to live here, and when I lived here, I would never feel uncomfortable walking the streets with my girlfriend or my fiance. We would go out for late night, we would go out for food, we would walk back from class, we would come up through Chinatown through Spadina through the interior streets, and we always felt safe. I mean, if there is something that we need to have attention to, we are here to listen and to see what we can do to help make a safer community. Now that's part one. Part two is the city of Toronto doesn't unfortunately have the ability to hire security guards. We remain supportive, extremely supportive of the work that the police do, especially 52 Division and 14 Division. They do phenomenal work in this community and beyond. Thank you guys. And we work with the BIA. I think the BIA has taken some initiative in the past to hire security guards, and I appreciate that. What we do is we listen, we take feedback, and we see what we can do. That's kind of why when something was brought up about potentially looking at opportunities to surveillance, I mean, I would at least want to explore something like that. I take it back, talk to my council, talk to the staff, and we see what we see. But thank you for the comment.
Thank you. Up next question.
To Canada Kevin from Dim Something. I want to ask about the city of Jessica Bell, about the parking from Spadina, from the east of Spadina, from Dundas to Delhi. There's not a lot of parking from rush hour anymore. And the parking from last year until now we closed the parking. And I would like to ask when you can recover the parking, because on the store from over there, they cannot parking. The Green P not enough parking space for our customers to park. All around from Dundas to the Arc area. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I very much enjoy your restaurant. Thank you for running it. I'll be honest with you, parking is primarily a city issue. It's not a provincial issue, so I'm going to hand it over to Andrew to
Hello guys. I too would thank you very much. So on parking, my understanding is that Councillor Sachs has been working with the community and the DIA to try to find solutions which, help make sure that we're not treating the businesses unfairly. There was a desire, a very strong desire for the city to try to speed up the TCCs and transit and streetcar alternatives. The TCC made a recommendation that we have to change how parking interacts on each side of the street in order to try to help commuters get moving faster, which honestly has a net positive business effect. People can get to where they're going faster in that neighborhoods, and it has a benefit for everybody. It helps alleviate congestion, it helps commuter time, it just helps with everybody. I do appreciate maybe there's more work to do to have to achieve the right balance. It was brought up in a meeting that I just had last I believe it was 2 days ago. It's a community center. So we're looking into it. I can tell you that Councillor Sachs directed $5 million to make improvements to the existing Green Pea parking that abuts the area of the restaurant. For safety, lighting, camera. I think we also have a seniors discount on weekends now. So that's an example of what the city is doing to try to make sure that people can park and come from outside the community to the community and take a look. And also so we can keep the TTC running and the streetcars running and help stop congestion. But I'm happy to have a further conversation.
In the next meeting, we will talk about the monthly meeting in the board meeting. We will further concern about the parking, because the parking is one of the important elements of the Chinatown in the future development. Thank you, Mr. Zhong.
First, am I going to hold the mic? Not quite well.
Sounds good.
I've lived in Chinatown for the past 5 years, but I've been in Toronto for much longer. I used to consider myself a visitor, but now I really do love Chinatown. I love to see it. It's my home, so I'll say that first. I have a more of a short-term question. I also share the sentiments of the gentleman in the room. I'm most interested in safety, short-term safety. I'd like to know, or I've also seen daily occurrences where we have some small crime, some larger crime. I live on Huron Street, off of the Parkette on Glasgow, so we've seen overdoses, some violence, and day to day, it's or long term, it's very important to say that these people leave the houses or different places to be a third space, so that they're not in the areas where there is the likelihood that crime or violence could happen. But first of all, so I think I recognize you. Sometimes maybe we're walking the neighborhood. Both of you guys? Yeah. Shout out to the lights for the cops. So I have to reiterate. So my main observation, my main question is, often when good things happen, they happen in communities. So, Victoria, Jessica, how do we leverage bring some community, the importance of everyone feeling that they belong in the community to help others help themselves, I suppose. And I'd like to keep housing out of the picture because that's been a really big topic. So I might suggest provincially and federally more outreach workers are giving outreach workers more respect and more compensation for the work that they do to hopefully bring the people that need it to them, because we don't have a shortage of housing workers and workers, community workers. So let's take all of that together and say how can we help people want to make a change and want to be in different places. I just want to kind of put that in consideration.
Thank you for that open-minded and open-ended question. I don't have a hard and fast policy response, but there are some things that I'm noticing that other cities and provinces are doing that I think we could try here. Some things I've seen recently include some of the work that Australia is doing. I'm originally from there, I just went back, and one of the projects they're doing is they're putting social workers into libraries. So when people who are really struggling come into a library and stay there for a period of time, that is what happens in this community. The libraries are a place where people stay for many hours. There are social workers there who can connect them and provide them with resources, talk to them with a relationship. It's very practical and helpful. The other one that comes to mind is what's happening here, where there's conversations with people from different sectors and different jurisdictions, and also we're having conversations with people who have different opinions, and that is important that we're listening to each other. That helps build community, and it helps us think these short-term solutions and these long-term solutions. Because I agree, we can't just say, oh, we need to build housing, and that is the only solution. There are many things that we can do. Andrew and I were just at a meeting recently with some of the issues that we're seeing in Kensington around safety at the school, where parents and children are facing some of the challenges that you're facing down here, where they're having to interact with people when they're dropping off their kids at school who are going through a really tough time, sometimes exposing themselves, using drugs, not being in a very good space. And what I noticed there, the second example, is that we had a working group conversation where people from all different sectors came together, from the schools, from principals, the parents, police, streets to homes, the encampment response network, the local church, the neighborhood group, politicians from different levels, and it was this realization in the room that there are actually answers here. The people who can solve these issues are in the room right now, and we need to establish a working group to start thinking this through. So in some ways, building community, we're also trying to think of, answers at the same time. So they're just two examples. There are many more. That's what I thought about when you asked some of these questions. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hello everybody. My name is Donna. I'm working in Chinatown 37 years. I'm owner and my children. Before long time, and I love Chinatown. Beautiful, wonderful. Everybody, the kids and the children and all people love it. And I don't know why now in Chinatown. Too many people visiting and come to tell me, so I am very scared. I can't come to Chinatown. I said, why? It's scared shooting. It's scared for something else. Like something, and I don't know. By the time now, I've been working for a long time. By the time now, I'm waiting here. Nobody coming. Nobody coming. I don't have enough income. And I have to continue working by working. I work in 7 days a week. Everybody in Chinatown knows me. I'm concerned about it. Please, the government head of Chinatown getting better. Getting better.
Thank you.
Wow, okay. I'm sorry to let you go. I'm saying呢啲人講，差佬冇可能你哋成日講你哋要啲人冇可呢度，啲人癲喺呢度，但係你哋做，佢哋唔係嘅事，係咪？差佬你唔表，你叫佢哋佢哋冇嚟嘅，你都聽細啲人講你冇嚟，我乜唐話好渣 ，sorry， you know, bear with me. But if 你哋有嘅事，你哋我哋唔使要嘅。
佢話即係如果有需要多啲唔同嘅住屋嘅資源啊，需要去支援唔同嘅社區計劃，都可以考慮其他社區嘅伙伴，例如係唐人街嘅社區土地信託，都可以或者係唐人街之後可以為佢哋去獲得一啲幫助。
你哋係我個朋友，我成日喺呢度行下見晒你哋。你哋有嘅事咧可以叫我哋呢個細啲嘅差佬，我哋幫你，我哋行你去邊度，我哋幫你行你邊度你去。你哋有嘅事我哋聽你，我哋喺度聽你，你就同我哋講都得。你哋唔使要個差佬，佢哋唔成日幫你哋，幫你要佢話成。OK， 我睇咧 ，OK， 我喺呢度成日喺呢度，你叫我啦，你有乜事叫我啦，我幫你，真係。我係Jennifer， 我個名你哋叫我，揾我啦。Yeah， 人哋俾你哋出路，你叫我啦，我同佢哋講啦。
And I think we have about 10 minutes left for questions, so we do want to make sure to get through everybody. I think that's why we're trying to do so. Please.
Hi there, my name is Killian. First, the speaker is not a
very much, so I need to speak louder for everyone else. First, I want to say thank you. It's been 5 years since I'm here, and this is the first time I'm hearing about community meeting. Second, there was a striking exchange earlier between two women, where one was saying, this is the shelter, and the other one was saying, no, this is not a shelter, right? Why is it striking? Because it was actually publicized and sold to the whole community as low-income housing in order to help people that are maybe deep issues, single families, maybe single moms. For example, when we were all for it, we had no objection. But throughout the years, it transformed into something that is closer to a shelter, to a point where some people would confuse it to a shelter. Just giving you one example, it's not just the cleanness, it's not just like people using drugs, it's also sometimes with people who've been witnessing an individual that was intoxicating, that was donating to some sort of obscene sort of behavior, touching themselves. And I would say if a man, if it's shocking to a man, it would be definitely shocking for women. We have wives, we have kids. So if you have that kind of picture on the front door, that'd be something to be concerned about. And the question is not directed to the police as much to the councillors or the city. So my question is, why is the city considering this as a transactional financial operation and just go and win, giving all these people that are maybe in a lot of issues without zero supervision, right? Because the doors were broken and now it looks like a fortress because they put like a very hardened door. So I want to know why there's zero supervision. You don't put anybody in there, give him a unit, give him a salary. How much does this cost actually to have somebody who can take care of these people when they're maybe in some difficult breakdown, right? Because they need help. They just don't need a unit or housing. They need support. So why is no support? We're not against it, but if you bring them without any support, then we're not happy with it. Nobody's happy, nobody's winning in the whole neighborhood. That's it.
Any takers?
So you have me at a disadvantage because I don't represent more than your geographically physically in life. So I don't have background. If I interpret your question correctly, you believe that the city provides housing to people in lots of life. I mean, the best way I can try to answer that is that the city tries to direct what resources it can in cooperation with the provincial government as well as for funding to try to help people as we can. And when it comes to, people's personal rights to privacy and, their charter rights, there are limits to what we can do in terms of, reaching out. We have to do what we can to provide people help, shelter, when there's great want. If it's a question specific to this building, I can take it back and I can redirect it to your local councillor and perhaps some of the city staff if there's something you should address. But what I can tell you here is that every level of government represented at this table is trying to do everything they can to provide help as they can. Does that provide you a satisfactory answer?
So what I want to know is why there is no coordination between the city that is taking care of the housing and other verticals that are taking care of supporting people that are in need, whether it's people looking for drugs or being massive. Because I'm not saying the government is not just giving money for housing. They also have a lot of organizations that are taking care of people in these situations, also whether they're NGOs, any type of organization. So that lack of coordination between those two instruments of the government that is lacking.
Well, so we support organizations like the Urban Group. They do good work in terms of outreach and support the community. They have recently applied for a grant with the city, which they successfully applied for to hire more workers to do more work in the question is coordination, and their focus is on helping people with mental health. They develop. So perhaps there's a conversation about greater coordination, but again, it would be more something that I would direct your local counselor for the specific situation to see. But there are some tools like that, in fact, that we are doing.
Transparency in the community. So they don't need to go deep in how the government is structured. Sure. They see an issue, they complain about it. But my question maybe was deeper than that, just in order to provide more sort of perspective in what can be done. That's not my job. That's your job, right?
Well, so again, perhaps we've reached the limit of what I can answer on this item, but if you want to come talk to me afterwards, maybe I can take it to a deeper. I'd also have to pass it on to the colleagues.
This is not my area, so I do not follow what is happening in the mall, and I'm learning a lot by being here today. We can follow up with the mall and providers of homes in this mall to see if additional support can be provided. City, it's not provincial, but we're happy to follow up with Councillor Malik to see if that's something that can be done.
I think the gentleman is basically asking a question that in order to fulfill housing needs, that needs bring along to this mall people that are creating perhaps something that is not highly desirable. So what it means is that we should provide additional service to people who wakes up in the morning, come home at night, make sure that they are fine and not cause any kind of disturbance. I think this is what he's trying to say. This is actually the same thing with the shelters. We bring the people in the shelter at midnight because of the weather, and then at 7 o'clock in the morning, they all get out all over the neighborhood, doing all kinds of things that people look at and say, my God, what's happening in this neighborhood? We got an influx of people coming in, and in the morning, we have to deal with the aftermath of that. So basically, we're looking at basic service for housing needs as well as the well-being of the individual that comes into the area, whether it's a shelter for the night or temporary or short-term housing, like in this particular complex. Is that what you're saying? Additional services, sir? Is that it? I think that's what it's saying. So we have to provide additional services beyond housing needs. That's it. Supervisory housing, maybe?
I think the woman who's asked the question before, and who was talking about social work, or maybe Jessica, social workers in libraries, I think we have heard from another the downtown young EIA that are doing some really innovative work collaboratively to ensure those needs are being met. Because the needs are greater now in terms of the addiction challenges. It's more acute what we're seeing. We haven't seen, like, I've lived in the city for like and so what we're seeing in the last 10 years, I think everyone agrees, is different, right? And so the acuity is greater, and we do need to work more innovatively and deal with the upstream factors, getting that support earlier. We need to look at youth mental health, and it's something that, that I think we are trying to invest in. We want, say, youth mental health in schools, and I think you need to keep raising this with the Ontario government as well, because we need those resources that are integrated into the housing, into our communities, into our local business centres. Like, that is really needed, and I think, that is something to raise further with the Ontario government and the province, and obviously the Canadian government will do what it can to support that. But there are those solutions and those innovations out there, and we can learn from things that are happening across the country. We can learn from what's happening in Australia and other places. We know, like, for example, the Dunn Street House, there's lots of examples. So I would encourage you to continue this discussion and brainstorming, and what, as I said before, the solutions lie with this community. You know it more than anyone here. So I think if you want to facilitate further discussion and ideas, I think that's something you should take forward and look at what's happening and working elsewhere. But, people do need to want to get the help that they need, so that is a consideration as well. But certainly there is a need for more holistic services and there's a need for greater investment. It doesn't have to be healthcare professionals. It can be peers. It can be people who've had this experience before in their lives and can help. So we don't need to have a professional, that we need more people in the community who can do that outreach. So I think, it's a long-term solution, but I think this is a great start. And I hope that helps in some way. And I think it would be useful to look at some of those models that we have heard about that are working in other locations that are also equally huge, like downtown area.
Thank you very much.
Hi, thank you. My name is Andrew. I live in the building upstairs as well. I think she's also for Andrew. I'm a big supporter of supportive housing. I'm glad there's a lot of supportive housing in Toronto. For 2 years, I volunteered in supportive housing in Cabbagetown, so I know how important it is for our community. However, south of the border between Bathurst and the Don Valley, 30 square kilometers, there are 37 supportive housing units. Outside of that area, 600 square kilometers of the city, there are only 30 supportive housing areas, sites, and there are, and I've seen plans for more and more of them are coming downtown, and fewer of them are going in other parts of the city. I think that the downtown core really pulls its weight and the rest of the city is not. So what are Councillor Sachs and the other downtown councillors doing to have more of the sites built and have the other parts of the city pull their weight so that we don't have to pull all the way downtown? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. I appreciate it very much, and I will say that I agree with you. I think that there is certainly a lot of concentration of supportive housing downtown, and I think that downtown councillors and the mayor, Councillor Sachs, the local downtown councillors, they do try to work with their council colleagues in the periphery of the city, in Scarborough, North York, Oakville, East York, to try to help have more balance. This is one of the reasons when it comes to shelters. I know you're talking about in general, but when it comes to shelters specifically, we delegate it to staff. But we still have this dynamic at City Hall where, councillors in the more suburban area will occasionally try to push, to delay, to defer, to move against rezoning, and so it's a battle. It's a battle one time, item by item, issue by issue, and through perseverance, we will have more equitable balance throughout the city. And it's not just a matter of, trying to move away from downtown. There is need in the suburbs. There is need in other parts of the city. And we have to have an eye towards making sure that we're fulfilling the satisfying that need. So I agree with you 100%. Councillor Sachs and the rest of her council colleagues in the downtown core continue to try to work together with every member of council, and we hope to work with city staff to actually achieve the balance we're looking for. I mean, I can't highlight a single motion or item, but we continue to work for it every opportunity we can. But thank you for your comment.
Hi, I'm James. I'm a property manager for thank you for coming forward and having this discussion. The residents here give you guys an opportunity to use this. Now, as you heard today, there have been a lot of owners and tenants here. I have owners who have approached me with signatures from owners and tenants of the mall, the impact of the first mall in their business. Now, I've heard from one person that there was not an impact study that was done. So why is it that the city didn't do an impact study before making that decision to put on top of a commercial area or building? Was there any other options that existed for supporting housing? Any other social shops and several commercial operators.
You're speaking to this property specifically?
Well, that's one of the impacts of
Of course. If you have a petition, I can receive it and I can deliver it to your local council. Happy to send it directly to Osmond's office. I'm not sure. This is. When was this done? What are the timelines?
This one was done today. There's another one online that's being done as well. And that's also goes to my next question. As a city of sport using that space for like a senior home or a center for autism or something other than a home first, that would be compatible to a commercial space like this.
Well,
because now you have the high needs, right? And you have like one of the stairs or residence stairs I mentioned, stone out the line for a seafood crab plate on top of the stairs like this in front of a pond. I have kids here and there's needles out there. Has a city considered that? Has there been any impact studies on that at all?
So, again, because it's not my ward, I have a blind spot on that. But I can receive the petition, and if you give me contact information for yourself, your group, I can, one, forward to Councillor Malek's office, or Deputy Mayor Malek's office, and two, I can reach out to staff and ask them to get back to Councillor Malek, Deputy Mayor Malek's office with an answer to that. I'm sorry that I can't give you a better answer to that. I have a blind spot in the scope of my ability to understand. But that's how I can help you. I can receive it and I can bring it back.
And then
Can you also ask her to go?
And then there's one more question, one more thing. We understand that the high needs is still right? And we want to help these people.
Sorry, could you?
We understand that there's a high needs situation here, and that we want to help these people get back into society and help them become more productive part of society. But from a law perspective, what are the lawyers that business we have fire department out there, we've got police out there, ambulance out there, every single night. If it's not the police, it's the fire. If it's not the fire, it's the ambulance. We have false alarm going off every other day. These costs that is affecting all the owners here. And yet at the same time, we've gone up there and there's no requirement for these residents to do anything. And when I say both times, but an hour to our cook or have to research, have to work document to give them the tools that they need to come back into society. But there's no requirement of that, which makes no sense because we're, as a city, our taxpayers, we're paying money for this program and it doesn't do anything. Right? As a matter of fact, Home First right now has not paid their fair share of the reciprocal payment of this building. And it's all that burden has fallen on business owners and unit owners of this property. So how does the city rectify that to the members?
Well, so how many names do you have? You have a petition in hand and you have one in the circuit.
The petition that owners have actually approached me today.
Can you pass it? I mean, I will receive it. So a petition is the first way in any community endeavor. Petition is the first way to build capacity to, try to make a request for someone to address a problem. You forward it to your councillor, you forward it to your mayor, you advocate for it, and if there's something that should be discussed or considered, if there's a mismatch, then the city will work with you to address it. I can't speak to this because, again, it's not my ward, it's not my jurisdiction, but what you're doing is certainly a start about, community advocacy raising an issue. I can pass it along, and, the councillor will take care of it, and they will proceed.
It's not the first time it's been mentioned. great that it's going to pass along, but we're looking for results on how it is burdening all of here. It's affecting their business, their livelihood, right? And it's affecting the reputation of that's why we've been hurting since COVID. So this is a great concern. And the next question I have for us is how can we argue at reviewing alternative uses for that site if the home first impact is detrimental to the overall community?
I mean, again, I'm not in a position where I can speak on commitment in that sense. I mean, I appreciate the question. I appreciate why you're advocating for it. I have limitations. Yes, absolutely. But I have limits on what I can respond to and what I can answer because my role. I wish I could give you something more. I just spoke to the mayor. I reached out to the mayor's office. I mean, I can connect you. There, that's what I did.
You see the petition here, all the business are in there, and landlord or sign, and you can see the negative impact on the owners in downtown because of all the safety issue, so much problems with questions. There's any solution help us to solve this. Thank you. A lot of times there's a problem in front of Chinatown Center. The homeless are laying there, and we call the guards, security guard, do nothing because they seem to have no authority or anything. And we call the police. The police either can leave or never come. So that's the big problem, our safety issue. And also, on Oxford Street, Oxford Diamond, there are 4 houses burned down 10 years ago, still vacant there. And fenced up, people threw trash over the fence, needle all over, syringe, needle through a plastic right in front of my house. I almost got right into it, wearing sandals. So that's very severe. So I want to know if there's any solution.
If there's a matter of water seepage or it's a health hazard, we can send staff to review it and possibly issue orders to comply if there's something that could cause a hazard. We have done that on occasion. But again, there's limits beyond that in terms of what we can do on the site. Maybe have a conversation with the owners, but in this case, I don't believe it's one singular owner. I believe it's all individual owners.
Yes, we have emailed the city because there's nothing being done. And also the homes and also that you see the business here is all there.
Well, so
it's a huge impact
to
our businesses in downtown and safety issues.
If I may, on 12 Oxford, because that is in Councillor Saxon's ward, and the group of houses around there, if you write an email to our office, or if you connect with me afterwards, I'll give you my email, which is my first last name at toronto.ca for anyone who needs to connect with us here. I can action that. So I can take a case, I can have staff go look at it, I can see if there's anything we can do. I can't promise that we'll find anything we can do, but I can promise you that capacity to do it. So are there people who are actively living in the site right now?
Those houses burned down already, torn down.
No, I know. Are people entering into the site illegally and setting up camp there?
Camp, fence up.
Because it's fenced.
Just the trash is thrown over the fence, that's all.
Yeah, so I mean, trash, I don't know. Water, absolutely. Any kind of health hazard, if there's any kind of structural integrity hazard, stuff like that. And of course, we have to require a fence. But I can ask them to go take a look at it. All you have to do is write councillor_Sachs@toronto.ca, or come see me afterwards. I'll give you the coordinates, or you can write me at first.lastname@toronto.ca. That one I can do.
Okay, thank you.
And folks, that is all the time we have for today. We do appreciate everybody coming out to the community health and safety meeting with Chinatown BIA. We do have gift bags at the table there. If everybody wants to line up for one, they are available, the attendees. And lastly, we'd like to thank all of the guests who attended and spoke today, and as well members of the media. And I'll pass it over to Chairman Tony Louie for a few words.
Thank you everyone for all your inputs, and we're going to take all your inputs, and perhaps we should, like Andrew mentioned earlier, to start with a working group to address all these concerns. I think we should start and end with all these issues here today. We should definitely get everyone's on side, and perhaps we can make things better and be able to balance everything so that no one is going to be hurt as a result of someone else's action. Thank you very much.
And thank you as well to Chinatown Center Mall, staff from the Chinatown BIA, Julie, A, and May, volunteer team leader, Amy Cheng, and all the volunteers. And thank you very much for coming today. Have a good day.
Before we go, we got to thank Louis Warren. He's a lawyer by trade, and he's done a fabulous job for us today. Thank you very much, Louis.
多謝各位由唐街嘅大眾，你哋今日嚟到支持我哋，因為呢個係主要係呢個係加拿大，所以我哋盡量係講呢個英文。咁對於你哋嘅到嚟咧，我哋喺呢度再三咁多謝，因為唐街能夠發展到咁有希望，咁咧主要係因為你哋每個人嘅努力，所以喺呢度我再多謝各位嘅業主，各位嘅呢個係唐街嘅老闆老細，同埋各位響唐街居住嘅朋友。咁因為你哋嘅努力，所以我哋相信響將來響整個北美洲裏邊，多倫多嘅唐街將會係最好嘅一個。咁我哋朝呢方面嘅努力，咁同埋咧就 Toronto City 將會邁向超級嘅國際性嘅城市，到時唐街一定會更加多嘅發展。你哋只要多2年，你就會睇到呢個功效。咁多謝你哋嘅嚟臨。咁唐街能夠有今日，主要就係好多好似你哋一樣嚟到親自咁嚟到係幫手發展。所以喺呢度，我代表就係多倫多呢個係商業出眾區，再次向你哋多謝。We also thank you for the policemen and the free level of the state government. They all work hard and let the Toronto Chinatown become a much better place in the whole world, in North America. Thank you, thank you.